unlock your escape.
Hey, welcome back to another episode. You are here. You are in the right place at Last in Line Leadership Podcast, where you will be encouraged and inspired to walk in the fullness of the leader you are called to be. This is a place where you will hear about the goodness of God and the hope found in His promises to us. My prayer is that you will be empowered as a servant leader from what you hear in this episode of Last in Line Leadership. Hey, I gotta say, this is a special episode, and I'm thrilled. I've been a part of this group in a way a couple different times on here with Chip Baker and the team of authors that he has created and compiled and partnered with for Impact of Influence, different volumes. And we had a couple of the first two authors on, first two volumes, and then now we're at volume 5. I don't know where the time went. I missed out on 3 and 4 apparently, but we're gonna let Chip talk a little bit about the project, because for those of you that are audience to Last in Line, faithful Last in Line listeners, you may remember, but as a refresher, Chip started this project, and I want him to give us a little backdrop on why this project, how it came about, and kind of how it's progressed, I guess, evolved.
Yes, sir. Well, first, man, John, just want to say thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to be on your platform. Man, love what you do, love how you do what you do, and so truly happy for you with the growth and things that have come your way. So I want to start there first, but then just say again, thanks so much for having us. You know, you don't have to choose to allow us to be on your platform to discuss the book, but you did, and man, I'm truly grateful for that.
Thank you.
I am Chip Baker, fourth generation educator, teacher, former coach, blessed and fortunate to be raised by some great people, as well as be around some awesome folks to learn from in my career. About 8 years ago, started my YouTube channel, podcast, The Success Chronicles. About 5 years ago, started writing books. Several of those have become multiple time bestsellers. And so it's been a really neat journey. About 2.5 years ago, we started the Impact of Influence book series. And basically, it came from an idea of, thinking that, all of us have been influenced by something or someone in our lives. And we've been influenced in such a manner that it's impacted us and caused us to be who we are, right? It caused us to, operate in the manner in which we operate because of that influence. And so basically that's what the books are about. Some powerful, amazing, positive influencers that are doing great things to make a huge impact in our world. And they just, have, reflected on the influence in their life, what they've learned from those people or situations, the blessings and the lessons, if you will. And then they're, how they're using those to make a positive impact in our world today. And that's basically what the Impact of Influence book series is about.
Yeah. And I'm watching the whole thing sort of evolve and like flourish as it's going. And you and I are friends, obviously, and I see the journey. And man, these people that you're choosing or that are, God's leading you to are becoming that for somebody else too. They're going to be part of somebody else's story. If someone 10 years from now was writing the same story, right? It's going to be about some of these people impacting them, influencing them, and making them a little bit about who they are today. So I want to maybe go around the room here and do the proper introductions. But we are going to let you guys talk about yourself more than me because I don't want to mess it up. All right, let's start at the top. Charles Woods from Humble, Texas. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came upon this project.
All right. Like you said, my name is Charles Woods. Thank you, John, for having us today on your platform. It's really an honor to be back on here. Also, like you said, I was on the platform. I think it was volume 2 that we got a chance to talk. Again, my name is Charles Woods. I'm a servant leader. I have 20 plus years in education, multiple time best-selling author. I'm a family man, and man, I live a great life every day. Me in this project, I think it all evolved from me and Chip Baker, our relationship back when we were at Conroe together. We coached together for 6 years. We built a great bond, a great friendship. we would always sit in the office and talk about things. You know, we never talked about books, but we talk about life and just how we can make a difference in everyone's life and in special education. And that's our department that we worked in the school system, and how we enjoy just pouring into to kids and to pouring into each other to learn to get better through each other. So it doesn't surprise me at all. When I left Conroe and went and became an assistant principal, me and Baker kind of went different directions. He went on and became a head coach, and I was doing that when we kept in touch. We kept our bond. We're close knit, and you know, our journey just tied back together, man. From what we call devotion that we would have in the morning with each other on the phone on our way to work, man. Just always talking about getting better and doing things better. And I had the privilege of even watching that Success Chronicles grow from where it started to where it is now, you know. So just a pleasure, you know, our friendship, the bond that me and Chip Baker have. I think that's what led me to even starting this journey here in the Impact series.
That's good. That's good, man. And we're glad you're here, and we're glad you guys kept in touch because some of this might not have happened. Let's go down over to Miss Lindsay Almquist, who is not driving. That's just her living room. Don't worry about it. She is in the Austin, Texas area. So let's hear about you and how you got to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Thank you again, John. And like Charles, while I don't know Chip for as long as he has, I would say there's a lot of commonality, parallel in just the short time that I've been blessed by Chip Baker. And it's so weird. A minute ago when you were introducing him and sharing just how you know him, John, I got teary-eyed. I'm like, I don't know why, if it's the Thanksgiving season or what, but Chip, you have definitely been a blessing in my life. I still think it's really neat how you're so connected, and yet you'll text here and there and say, hey, just checking in. I just think that's such a powerful thing when we check on our people, and people that God puts in our world are not just by chance, right? So I'm honored that I get to be a part of that in your life, Chip. So thank you. I actually got the joy and blessing to lead a book study for Volume 3. With the Texas Women Educators. So TCWC is a chapter here in Texas. We just started a Region 13 chapter, and it's for women executives here in the state in education. And it was just really neat. Jenny, she's the superintendent in Granger ISD. She was in that book. And so we got to do that with all of Region 13 ladies. There was a group of us. Some of them joined virtually, some of them joined in person, and we had a really good experience. And so through that book, Jenny connected me with Chip. And I told Chip, like, it's just so neat that I get to share about, share Jenny's book and his book with the ladies, because it was so impactful for them, kind of resetting for the new year, especially with everything going on in public education post-COVID. And so long story short, I made a comment that was very vulnerable. I'm like, I really want to write a book. And long story short, I call it Baker's strategies, Chip Baker's building strategies. Oh, that is my son, and he obviously has to go potty. If everyone on the podcast did not hear that, there you go. So I will handle that for my little guy. He's my 4-year-old little man. And long story short, whenever I was talking about a minute ago, Chip Baker's building strategies, he told me one day, like, what to do with my phone, utilizing it, like when things come to my mind about things I want to write about, write them down. And so I've been using those strategies, and even just this week, it's happened a couple of times that I'm like, I need to write that down. And so I put it in my iPhone note, and he's just really given me some easy, quick strategies that are successful for me. And then literally within like a couple of months, he reached out about this book, and it was such an honor to be a part of it. And I'm used to writing a lot about education. My dissertation's about education. And this was an opportunity that I got to write about someone super special to me that's been really a huge influencer in my life and the reason I am who I am today. So John, again, thank you. And Chip, much love to you.
Of course. Thank you guys. And yeah, I mean, you guys don't, maybe you do know, but a lot of you don't, aside from God just really sort of leading me in this direction to do this YouTube channel and podcast and write books, Chip Baker's the reason this is happening. Chip's the one that wouldn't let me kind of make excuses, right, for not doing it, or come up with reasons why I didn't think I was equipped to do it. He gave me the confidence to just step out and say, look, do it anyway, fail and then go forward and do it again and do it better. And so we did. And that's why I'm 2 years or in my third year of doing this podcast and over 200 episodes. So I guess, we're sounding off all for Chip Baker, but look, he is the master connector, and he's not going to want any of that credit, but we're going to give it to him. So let's move down the line here. Mr. Bruce Villarreal, and I hope I didn't make too big of a mistake pronouncing
Not at
that,
all.
but
you pronounced it correct. So it's just, so Villarreal is the Spanish way to say it, I would say, but it's okay. Bruce Villarreal. But pleasure and thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm excited, and I wish I was closer to all of you. And it's so awesome to hear the background Chip has with you and Charles and Lindsay. Education. I think it's awesome. I'm very inspired every time I hear new stories, and thanks for having us on your podcast as well. Pleasure to connect with you. And Chip Baker, what can we say? I mean, he's a great people connector, and he's a blessing in all of our life. And it's amazing all the other stories that I still haven't heard yet that stem from Chip Baker. But my story is very interesting and unique, I would say, because everybody has a unique story. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. My first public speech I gave at the age of 5. I gave a Bible reading. And since then, I knew I wanted to be a speaker. So I always loved speaking. I had the chance to speak on the faith basis, until I was a young man. After that, I got involved with a network marketing company, one of the founding companies. And I was one of the founders many moons ago when I was 18 years old. And I was mentored by Mr. Jim Rohn. And I had a chance to meet Les Brown through Jim Rohn. And so that's where my passion for speaking came about. I've always had a knack for people. People seek me out a lot for counsel, encouragement. And I consider myself throughout the years, I've come to the conclusion as an encourager, because I think everybody needs encouragement. We can inspire them, we can motivate them, but I think people need encouragement. That's really one of my main goals when I'm speaking with somebody on a podcast. And we want to encourage all of your listeners that are connected, to encourage them to practice their gift, their craft, and their passion. And I think Chip, what he's done for us and what you're doing for your audience as well, and everybody who's connecting their people, is we're igniting people's gifts, the belief that they can do it, and that's what's happened. So basically, I went through a divorce 7 years ago. I was already speaking and doing very well, but after my divorce, I thought that was it. I mean, what can I teach people? I'm a failure, and I kind of dropped the ball on my gift and my passion. And a couple of years ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to revamp my gift, and I'm going to take it back to the world and share my failure, because in a way, people learn more through our failures than through our successes. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the story. And but for example, I was telling Chip that I had the pleasure of meeting Chip Baker through a young lady by the name of Denise Franco. She was on the Ladies of Impact, or the Impact of Influence for Ladies, the book. She was one of the co-authors with Chip, and wonderful young lady. And I went to support her when Chip Baker was in town in El Paso. And I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to go there. And I was just recovering from COVID. So I kind of got there by the grace of God, because I was not feeling all well. I was recovering, I was well, but I said, I'm going to go. Let me see what I can get from it. And it was great to hear Denise speak. And I heard another lady that I know, Katie Scott, and her fiance. And then, of course, I heard Chip Baker. I said, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to speak with him. And I had the chance to speak with Chip Baker. And we connected. And I said, hey, Chip, I don't know what you're doing, bro, but I want to connect with you, and I want to be part of it. And we connected immediately. He's an angel in our life.
That's good.
And just to end my part is that I was shared in the previous podcast that vision boards do work. When you put your goals on the vision board. I have put on my vision board, I was going to write a book, and my goal was to launch it next year. And guess what? It happened this year, because I met Chip Baker about 4 months ago, going on 5. So, dreams do happen. Put it in paper, write it, speak it. And I didn't know I was going to meet a Chip Baker in my life, and I did. So right. Who knows who's going to be your Chip Baker? All of you are the Chip Bakers for your people. So that's my kickoff story, John.
All right. Thank you. That's great, man. I appreciate you sharing that, because it does inspire people to hear that. So Jose Escobar, and where are you located, sir? And tell us how you got on board with this project.
Sure thing. So I'm a little bit under the weather, so excuse me, but I said I was going to be here, so here I am. I am located in Maryland. I was born in Washington, D.C., been in Maryland, Montgomery County all my life, about to be 40 in January, so 39. I'm hanging on as long as I can, 39. So anyway, in terms of myself, I'm married. I have 5 kids, and martial artist, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai kickboxing, enjoy that. Been in that space for a while. I've been a sales director for a company called EFC. It's a martial arts company, global company for the US territory. Been doing that for a number of years, and I just put in my notice. January 1st, I'll be a full-time entrepreneur, so I'm excited about that transition. That's finally come to pass. It's been a long time coming. I'm the CEO of the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf, which is a digital programs company. I create courses and programs for busy professionals and entrepreneurs. My flagship product is the Morning and Evening Routine Mastery Program, which led me to write the book on the subject, Winning the Day. And then I also have a membership mastermind, like a subscription-based program. It's a mastermind networking group called Connected Leaders Academy. We have about 230 plus members, 11 countries, 35 states, coast to coast in the US. And absolutely, Charles Woods is a member, as well as the man himself, Chip Baker. So I'm excited to have them in the tribe. And anyways, that's kind of my background in terms of what I do. I have a lot of other moving parts in between all that, but that's the essence, right? So the impact of influence, I've been following the impact of influence for quite some time, I have to admit. So I'm a huge fan from volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and volume 4. And I said to myself, you know what? I've been following Chip Baker for quite some time. I actually met him I met one person who kind of like a chain of people introduced me eventually to Chip Baker through social media. I never met Chip in person, but we've been great friends ever since from a distance on social media, and I've been following very closely. And I said, you know what, like one day it would be amazing. I mean, I'm getting these books, I'm reading these books, like just imagine if one day I could be in one of these books, right? And then I realized I have finally done something in my life, because Chip presented the opportunity. Hey man, volume 5, are you interested? I was like, heck yes, man. Like, I know I've done something, because that is a sign, right? So I'm excited to be a part of volume 5. Chapter is yeah, I put a lot of heart and soul into that, and just honored to know Chip, to be a part of this circle with all of you winners, and excited for the journey.
That's so good, man. Yeah, you're a busy guy. That's cool to watch this whole thing unravel in a good way, not unravel, but unfold, I guess is a better word. But no, I think this is cool, because you guys are all doing like unique things, different pockets of the world, but everybody sort of gravitates toward the same I don't know, I guess mission. And Chip helps coordinate, and he's kind of the connecting portion of that. And we've got, I guess Lindsay had gotten on twice here. I don't know, we're going to get her off of there on one of those. There we go. I'll tell you what, how I want to do, I just got a couple questions, just general questions, and we'll throw it around the room again, and we'll try to be respectful of your time, but I know I don't want it to kind of box people in on what they say here, but we'll get everybody some opportunity to speak. So I guess it looks like we got 3 educators on here, and then we've got couple entrepreneurs, but I wanted to ask, where do you guys sort of derive not only your inspiration to just be impact people, influencers, and just difference makers? Where do you derive that inspiration? And then what would you say, I guess, do you consider yourself servant leaders? I know Charles mentioned it, but this is a servant leader podcast, and a lot of leaders out there they may say they are, but they may not really be servants. And so I want to hear from y'all what you think servant leadership is and why you're good at it, and then what inspires you to kind of be those difference makers. Charles, let's start with you.
All right, I appreciate it. Appreciate having the chance to even discuss this. For me, I define servant leader. I went to college to be an engineer. I actually got my degree in industrial technology and my master's degree in engineering and technology management. I want to get in the industry. I would be fine like sitting at a desk, not being around a lot of people, because I was a kind of an introvert that learned to be an extrovert. But I was kind of coerced to get into education by one of my old football coaches that was principal, Dr. Poole. I went for an interview just out of respect for him, and was kind of just nudged into a coaching office where I was actually coaching football. He said, "We'll find your teaching field later." Out of respect for him, I decided I was gonna just try it for 1 year. It took me two weeks. Loved helping kids. You know, I'm in this, and I stayed in this for 20 plus years because I wanted to make a difference for others. It gave me a chance to reflect on how many people poured into me in public education and just tried to get me over the hump. They helped me get over the hump. They helped me get to where I am today. So I wake up in the morning, I'm excited and happy to go to my second home, because it's my family. I just love doing for others. I don't do it for any other reason. I didn't stay in education for money. I didn't stay in education because I had a goal or something like that. As years came, I decided I wanted to grow and do a little bit more in education and serve more people. I went from just wanting to serve kids to serving my peers to serving others that come in education, just need a little guidance. So I truly enjoy what I do. I'm there for my people or whoever reaches out to me at any time of the day. I truly just love being there for others.
Yeah.
And when I think about servant leader, I think about someone that's willing to jump over the hoops, go through the trials and tribulations for others, not for themselves. Nothing is about me. It's about those individuals that I serve.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Lindsay, what about Chip? I already know how you feel about servant leadership, and I watch you do it like on the regular, pretty much every minute of every day. So we're not going to let you talk about it. No, Lindsay, you're
and
in
that's
education.
great from a servant leader perspective. Hey, highlight those people, man. They're great people to highlight.
Yeah.
Brother.
Well, I
Let's
mean,
get it.
I appreciate that, and they appreciate it because I know they wouldn't be
Yes.
talking to me if it wasn't for you. So, Lindsay, you've been in education for a while, I guess, and have started like some women's groups, and it sounds like faith is a big motivator and a leader for you as well. So, where do you derive it from, and then kind of what keeps you disciplined and focused to kind of keep those servant leadership goggles on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is you have to know what your core believes, because the world will push back on that, especially in public education.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, and it's faith, but you have to know, when you talk about faith, even within the faith community, people have different opinions, right? So it's always about finding the commonality that you can build upon versus finding the things that are pulling us apart that we may not agree upon. Because, like, for example, and Charles said, like, I went from serving kids to serving my peers to in his leadership role, he's serving leaders then to serve children, right? So whether I know Charles or not, and we work together, we find something that was not on the same page, we know it's about ultimately about children, or it's about specifically about impacting adults that then they're impact children. We can always find something that's common. And in that common place, then therefore you make change, not driving a wedge. And I was actually talking about this with my mom and my stepdad today. Like, it really is about building a longer table or bringing a folding chair to someone that doesn't have the opportunity at the table to have a voice. I really do believe that. And I really believe if Jesus was here right now, that's exactly what he would say. Because he was never in the temple. He was always out, right? About. And I think the one thing about public education, you see it also in the elderly, in nursing and home and healthcare. You see people out with the people, right? And so I think that's really important when you talk about servant leadership, because I've seen people like assume servant leadership is essentially like
it's not what Jesus would do. So I always have to remind myself, like in that moment, and I'm not perfect, but also always, going back to, if he was in this position, what would he do?
Yeah.
And to pray and think about it, because it's not an easy decision sometimes. And, he ran away from his own mom to go hang out with people. Like, she was, imagine if like a kid, a little boy, imagine John, your children, imagine Jose, one of your kids, MIA-ing on us for days. Like, we would be freaking out. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And he was out with the people. And so I just always go back to, real servant leadership is not about what makes it easy or what makes it what everybody else wants to hear.
Yeah.
And it's happened this week. One of my principals, I'm the executive director for Austin ISD for secondary. And so I serve 12 schools. And one of my schools, one of our kids passed away this week. And so the principal did the right thing. And because it may not always follow maybe a specific response protocol or all of the things that red tape has to do in public education, he followed his heart and he did what the family and him had made a decision to do. And I think at servant leadership and in the heart of the core of what you do, you have to do what's right, even if it may not be what's exactly right, if that makes sense. Right
good.
in law, but right in the way leaders should lead. And when there's a child that's been killed as a pedestrian in a road, you're gonna navigate that the best way you can at the heart of what that family needs, right? So that's just an example. So that was a long answer, John, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's been a long week.
That's really good. I mean, somebody listening, I think, needed to hear that. And I think for sure, like that, we all need to hear, because like you said, and I don't want to get off on a soapbox either, because this is not about me today, but I 100% agree, because you got to kind of trash political agendas at certain points whenever it's about people, and it's about real loss and real emotions and connections that are broken in a way. But some of that stuff doesn't always apply that's in a book, right? Let's see here. Who do we got next? Let's go with Mr. Bruce. Let's hear from you about what inspires you and just kind of what servant leadership means to you.
Well, what inspires me, I guess it's other people. I think sometimes when I was a speaker in the past, I think it was more a superficial attitude and demeanor. Now it's more of a spiritual and core-based message. And, before I was the type of person that was serving everybody, but you forget to serve the ones who serve us from the core, which is our family out. So my philosophy has been reshaped. I start from the inside out now, and I start with myself. I like something that Dr. I think Miles Monroe said, and one of the pastors, he said, "Hey, don't tell me how much you love me. Tell me how much you love yourself. If you love yourself enough, you're going to be able to love me, and or you're going to be able to love other people." So I think sometimes it could be a superficial love. So I'm working on, making it a real core love and serving not only audiences, but also serving on a one-on-one. And I have the joy from serving on a one-on-one. And also I know that I'm serving the public. If I'm serving my son, I'm serving my daughter, starting from that core. And seeing that joy and that happens, like, okay, I'm on my way. Because also when you're serving the others, you're like, okay, well, that's just an added value. And so that's where I think it starts, because I was criticized, okay, you're serving everybody, well, what about your core? And I think sometimes we need to reshape our order of value. And if anybody serves anybody, you have to be real, because sometimes we can lose the target. And I'm like, okay, I'm back on target, and that gives you true joy. It gives you happiness. And also, so like I said, I'm on a mission of serving a one-on-one, and also serving the audiences, the larger audiences, because like I mentioned earlier, right now we just went through Thanksgiving. How many people, John, were not fortunate to be with the family? How many people were alone? How many people didn't have even a meal to say, hey, you know what, let me celebrate, like many of us had the privilege of celebrating. So I do want to extend my heart out to anybody who was alone this holiday and will possibly be alone in this following holidays, and maybe see how we can extend a hand to those people who are out there who need that push, that spiritual push, and to say, hey, you know what, you're important, you're valuable. I know that there's a big loss of people's lives because they feel like they're not valuable, and that's not true. We know that's not true, but I've been there and I felt that. So, again, that's my way of servant leadership, doing it one-on-one and showing the love. And people show the love to me, and I like to extend the love back. And I had the privilege of doing it today. I received someone's love. They offered me food that I was going to buy and said, no, I'm going to take it to you. And another friend saw it on Facebook. She goes, oh, I love it. And I stopped by and shared half of my meal. I said, oh, well, you know what? You want it here. And she was so happy and grateful. I said, well, this is just the love that was shared to me. I want to share it back to you. So that's what I think we're doing in our labor of love, with what you're doing, John and Chip and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love.
That's real good. That's real good. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great story. Jose, it sounds like you're a very disciplined person. Like we were talking, I think off air about the 75 strong fitness deal that you've done like 2 or 3 times. And so you've started a business and I mean, you're a very disciplined person. What keeps you kind of laser focused when it comes to serving people? What keeps you not distracted? I mean, we all get a little distracted, but what kind of keeps you honed in on the mission?
Well, first of all, I have to know my why, and my why is my family, right? So if I want to give my family the best of what I have, I gotta be my own best friend and take care of myself first and foremost. So I make sure my morning routine, my evening routine is jam-packed to maximize me and fill up my cup so I can then pour it into others, right? And then in order to serve my family at the highest level, I have to serve others first, right? And I think Zig Ziglar says that if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want, right? So it's like, for me, it's about creating impact, and it's right on the top of the book, right? It's about creating impact, because the more impact you can create in other people's lives, then the income is going to come automatically. I think income is directly linked to impact, right? I know a lot of people that make a lot of money that have zero impact, and that's kind of empty to me. But I also know a ton of people that make a lot of money that make a lot more impact, and that's really what I'm after. Is let me serve people, let me help people, and the more people that I help, then I'm going to get what I want, which is my family, provided for, and really feeling what I want. So that's really what drives me, is knowing my why, taking care of myself, and then understanding that the mission, in order to achieve my mission, I have to help other people achieve their missions and help them be their best. And for me, to wrap up my piece here, this book, I actually pulled it off the shelf behind me when you mentioned what is leadership, right? Or you said serving, the servant leader. This book, The Servant, is an amazing book that really helped me understand true servant leadership. It's a simple story about the true essence of leadership, right? And John Maxwell says it best, leadership is influence, right?
Yeah.
So if we can influence people to do what we want them to do with our leadership, right, then, and we serve them by doing that, then that's really the key. So here it says CEOs at the top, vice presidents, middle managers, supervisors, employees, and then the customers at the bottom. That's the old model. And then the new model is the customers at the top, then associates, supervisors, middle managers, vice presidents, and the CEOs at the bottom serving, right? So that's the difference, and that's the mentality. And I embrace that fully, because I understand that in order to be the best possible leader, you have to serve in the highest level. And that's kind of what it's all about.
That's real good. That's real good. And I don't know if you know it or not, but last in line leadership is what we're about. And that us at the end to help others kind of get in front and go and help them boost them up. I mean, the Marine Corps, the most decorated officers in the Marine Corps eat last. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's a big deal. And it's to your point of CEOs kind of need to understand it's about serving and propping others up. And that's what we try to do here. I know that's what Chip Baker's about. I mean, to your point, Jose, earlier you were talking about how, taking care of the money will take care of itself if you take care of the process and the people around you. And I know Chip would echo that. It's not about necessarily the end result. It's about the journey. It's about embracing the process, loving the process, doing the right reps, as Chip Baker says, doing the right reps. And so that I'm glad you said that. That was a good way to put a bow on that question. You guys, man, I wish we'd hit record on this conversation. Oh, wait, we did. All right, good. We're good. All right. So we're going to be able to listen to that again, because that was golden. All right. I want to ask Chip this next question, and I'll see what he's going to speak for all of you on this one. No, there's a lot of educators. There's a lot of people with children on here. There's people who are leading the next generation potentially. I mean, equipping, Jose, you're doing masterminds and you're equipping people to be better leaders. And so, Chip, I want to ask you this. There's a lot to be said about what's going on with the future of our society. You look around and things look to be upside down in places, but there is some good out there too. Tell me what encourages you most, Chip, about the future of our society. What encourages you most about, if you could look out into maybe the next 5 years, what do you see? What is making you smile when you look out that far ahead?
I think for me, what encourages me most is the fact that we have some good people in the world. Sometimes, people, as far as their mindset, get caught up in, focusing in on the negative and looking at what we don't have and all of those kind of things. But really, like, it's some good people in the world that are doing great things to make a positive difference. And so when we shift that mindset, when we shift that perspective, it allows us to see those things, right? Because how we view what we do will always affect how we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so when we shift that perspective, then we see the good, we focus in on the good, and we do well on that. We live in that. And then, you don't worry about all the other stuff, because all the negative, it's not important. Right.
Yeah.
And so, man, I think we have some great people, and it's evident by the people that are here in this interview. Right. Just start there. Just start with the people and the authors in the Impact of Influence book. And so there's people that are boots to the ground, doing the dirty work to make a positive impact in our world. And that excites me every day.
Yeah. I mean, there is, I think it's about what choice we make and what we want to choose to look at,
choice,
what we want to focus on. Right. I mean, we can focus on anything. And I think if we go the direction of where the light is shining the brightest, which there is plenty of light around us, then that's where we invest our efforts and invest our time. So let's throw it back around the room here real quick. When I ask a little bit of a different question, a little bit in the same vein somewhat, Charles, let's get back to you here. What would be a message that you have? You're in education. It's difficult. I have a son who's in secondary education. I have a dad who was in it for years. It kind of skipped me and then went to my son, but I see what he deals with on a daily basis. We could all talk about what's going on in the public education system, but for you, what is your message to the next generation when it comes to leadership and what you hope for them as a leader?
Well, as a leader, I think about the word that you just said a few minutes ago. It's a choice. You have a choice what you want to do in your life every day that you wake up. For me in education, we can concentrate on negatives all you want. But when you wake up in the morning, you decide you're gonna make it a good day, that you're gonna focus on the positives, and you're gonna make a difference in somebody's life. I think that is the key part of it all. Yes, there's going to be rough days, and there's going to be more rough days than there are days that run smoothly. But when you wake up and you know why you're doing what you're doing, just like Jose say, you got to know your why. You got to know your why when you jump into education or when you jump into a leadership role. Can't be selfish. It has to be about others. But when you know your why, it'll make it a whole lot better. You got to focus on the positives. You got to find those people that are like-minded like you, that can help infuse you and get you going, and also celebrating the small victories as they come.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big one. Like, we're not looking for the big victory at once, but those little things that happen. It might happen one period, it might happen one time a day, and when the buses roll, you are celebrating that with your staff and those who are going through it with you. But you have to celebrate those things that do happen in the change. And it's on you to see the change in people and the positive move in people as well. So yes, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Education is rough nowadays, but if you're in it for the right reasons and you're a positive life, you can make it. You can make it through, and you can make a difference.
All right. That's awesome. Yes. It's a choice. I think that's going to be an underlying theme and takeaway for me on this conversation for sure. Lindsay, so the kids that you impact every day, even the younger, adults that you see, what's your message to the next generation kind of as to when they go do whatever it is, whether they get into education, whether it's, they go to continue theirs and then they go out into the business world? What is your drive home message to the next generation?
Mine would be, how you treat the least of these is how you should treat everybody. And so how we treat our children, how we treat our elderly, we can look at other countries and see how successful they're being in those areas and how we have so much growth to do in those areas. And no matter what positions they want to be in, whether it's insurance, whether it's podcasts, whether it's gaming, that we breathe life into people, and that we treat our elderly and our children with the utmost respect and love, because they deserve it.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good one. All right, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, sir. So yes, I think what I would say, young son, young daughter, young man, young lady, what's your gift? Let's find out what your gift is so that we can build you up on that gift so you can take that gift to the world. Because, I think in education, all these educators that are here, my respects to all of you, because I was not oriented in that direction, unfortunately, like I would have wanted to. But I do understand the value and the influence that they have on their young men and women that they lead. And they have a great responsibility, like we all do. It doesn't matter where we're at. We also have a responsibility to guide people, because people seek us out as guidance counselors, mentors. So I would say, hey, what's your gift? And let's work on that gift, because sometimes I think they focus on things that have nothing to do with their gift. And then we throw them out in the world and we want them to succeed. And they're feeling, really hard and bad. And then people, get on their case because, they're not doing all that great. They're not performing. So I think that would be my new call to action. As a father, as a mentor, and as a coach, is like, hey, let's find out your gift early on and let's build on that gift, because, we all have weaknesses, we all have strengths. And sometimes we want to work on our weaknesses, and that leads us to life failure. But if we work on our strength and build that up, then wow, that's the gift to the world. So that's what I would do, John.
That's good. I love it. I love the gift aspect. All right, Jose, you've got 5 children. You're empowering and equipping leaders with your mastermind and with your new venture, your entrepreneurship, your new company. What's your message to that next generation of leader?
The message is that we got to develop rhino skin. We got to develop that mental toughness. We got to strengthen the discipline muscle, just like we strengthen the intellectual muscle and the physical muscle with the weights. You got to really take the time to do the hard work, to live in your discomfort zone, because anything worthwhile is uphill all the way, as John Maxwell would say. And a lot of times when we are not feeling that moment of like wanting to quit, when we're not feeling that stress factor, like cinder blocks on the board on a 2x4, when we're not feeling that in life, we're comfortable. We're coasting. And as they say, when you're coasting, you're roasting eventually, right? So if you're plateauing, then it's a matter of time until it goes downhill. So everything is an uphill climb. So in life, for future leaders, for future entrepreneurs, for future professionals, the world, from my kids to anybody out there, I say, live in your discomfort zone. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, do the hard work, do the things that most people aren't willing to do, go the extra mile. And that is really going to be the difference maker. And that's going to help you get comfortable being in those, tough places that most people can't hang in, and the ones that are going to change the world are going to be the ones that voluntarily put themselves in discomfort. And that's really what it's all about. And I tell my kids all the time, my goal is for them to catch me in an act of excellence as often as possible. So they'll see me at 4 a.m. early doing my stuff here. They'll see me going out for a run when it's freezing cold outside. They'll see me do the things that I don't want to do, that I don't feel like doing, but that are required for excellence and for that next level. And that's really what it's all about.
Of course. Absolutely. I love that. Thought you were going to go Jocko Willink on me with discipline versus motivation. Cause I love that. I did an episode on the podcast about that. But yeah, you said it at the end there, and a guy I brought on that has a weight training coaching business. He calls it voluntary hardship, and just undergoing as much voluntary hardship as you can, and obviously using some of your logic and rational thinking in that process, but putting yourself up against it sometimes when, test yourself, because it's a lot better to voluntarily get in those situations than have to be in reactionary mode when someone else is holding the heat up against you. So, all right, I got one more for the group, and then we'll let everybody enjoy their day after Thanksgiving turkey hangover. But it's been a privilege to be here with you guys. I guess I don't want to have too big of a spoiler alert, so I've avoided this question the entire way till the end, and we're just going to let you guys go 20, 30 seconds just to whet our appetites. But give us an idea who you wrote about and why in this volume 5 book, because I haven't spent a lot of time on the book because I don't want people to have the answers to the test. I want them to have to go purchase the book. So Charles, who did you write about, and maybe a little bit of why?
Well, this has been my fourth time in the series. I thought it was time for me to kind of dig down deep and kind of talk about my first real influence. This has given me a lot of time to reflect. And, as I reflect, I realized that this certain person was the very first person to really have a big impact on my life with their influence. And that's my oldest sister.
Very cool.
And yes, and I'm not going to go too much further.
Yeah, don't do that. Your oldest sister. Okay. Well,
yes.
She's probably asking, why'd you take so long to write about me? I mean, I should have been the first one. No. But that's a good one. All right. The audience, see, I like that. That's the way I want it. That's the way I want to do it right there. Because the audience, if they're like me right now, they're like, how do I get it? I got to read this. I got to get it. Let me get the book. So, all right, let's, Lindsay, give us kind of whet our appetites on who you wrote about.
So he's patient. He's a gentle giant. He's the influencer of my heart, my leadership as a learner. I always tell people, when you hear Dr. Almquist, you're talking more about him than you are about me, whether you realize it or not. And there's a reason, because I carry his last name, and I'm honored to do so every day. We're about to hit 10 years. We've been together a long time. And I pray that God gives me the blessing of being with him a very, very much more longer time. But I'm a better learner. I'm a better mama. I'm a better wife, a better friend, a better leader. As a high school, middle school, elementary principal, former principal, teacher before that, HR director of human. The role was director of human capital. Was that in a district for 2 years, and then now as an executive director of school leadership and campus support. But more importantly, in 2017. We had Irish twins. One was born in January, one was born in December of that year, and I started my doctoral program at UT. I finished in 2 years, and I swear if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm honored to share with you that my tall, gentle giant is the one I get to go home to every night, and I'm honored to be his wife.
Wow. That's, I'm amazed that you got through that. That you were making me kind of get a little, like to clear the throat there. That was really good. Really good. All right, Bruce, you got a big smile on your face, so I bet this is a good one. Who are we writing about in this volume?
No, I'm just inspired by everybody's story, because every time I hear a little bit more about it, and it just gets me excited to read the actual chapter. So yeah, I'm excited about everybody's chapter, and yours included. But my chapter is titled "Rising Up," and it's talk about rising up through the deserts and storms of our life, and I'm talking about a little bit of my story and how it is that I've had to overcome the challenges, and the idea is to encourage other people to follow through and get back up, even if you're knocked down. And because, life, like everybody has mentioned, we get hit by these deserts or storms in our life. And sometimes you feel you're not going to recover. You're not going to make it through. And like, God, when is it going to be over? And so, and it does, there is a rainbow at the end of, of the storm. And that's the promise. And And it always happens that way. So that at the end of the day, it's just an encouragement to other people, and let them read that chapter. They're going to love it. Like I'm going to love to read all my friends' chapters as well.
That's
So
good.
the book, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, Jose, who was your inspiration in this book?
Yeah, so I had to start from the beginning too, given this is my first time in this type of book, and it's my parents. My parents came to this country from Guatemala. I'm first generation, born here in DC. They were like in their late teens, and my dad was like 20, and my mother was like 19 or something at the time. And they came not speaking a lick of English, not having any money, no real connections out here that was majorly notable, I guess you could say. So they had to scratch and claw and figure it out along the way. And they pursued the American dream, ended up as entrepreneurs and $1 million home, and retired and did their thing. And I saw the transition. I saw from the beginning of me being one of 4 boys, and living in an apartment, all sharing one room. And I saw the whole transitional process. And one thing that I always learned about them that impacted me tremendously was their hard work. And they just worked hard and never made excuses, and they figured out a way to get it done. And that really impacted me and influenced me in a tremendous way. And now I take that same energy and that same vision and passion, and I apply it to everything that I do. So it's definitely about them.
That's good. I can't wait to check out all these in detail. Sounds like your parents didn't have a plan B, which is what kind of made them press through, and I see that a lot in successful people, is they don't give themselves an option for plan B, right? It's, I'm sold out on this and I'm reckless, abandon, going after it. And so what I see you guys doing, and I can see your hearts toward your students, toward the people you coach, toward the people you serve, your families. Like, I see it big time. It's glaringly obvious that y'all have are bought into the process, are bought into your dream, and are bought into the mission. So as we close, I'm going to defer back to the fearless leader, Mr. Chip Baker, and I'm going to ask him one more question, and then we'll give everybody kind of a chance to give us your Instagram like address or email or whatever you want, wherever people can reach out to you. But Chip, I got one for you. What's the dream look like down the road, man? What's this dream look like? I know you got a lot of them, but what does the impact of influence dream look like? If you had kind of a crystal ball, what do you see the future being for this project?
Man, that's a good question, John. And I've said this before, as a kid, I would sit on my porch and just dream about, things that I would want in life to happen or achieve. And I'm gonna just tell you, this was not even in the dream.
Yeah.
So like, this is far beyond like anything I ever would have imagined, right? And so my goal is to just be in the moment with every opportunity that we're blessed to have, truly enjoy every experience and value it, and just continue to build relationships and provide opportunities, because opportunities bring opportunities, and so I think when you can connect with amazing people that are doing great things, we all can achieve every one of our bucket list goals, because we're connected to great people that can help us and teach us and show us how to do those things. And so whatever it is that every one of these authors want to achieve from this experience, man, I'm hoping that they get that and beyond. And that's what it is for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Well,
yeah,
I see it happening, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. So we don't have to always know what's on in the future, but I know it's going to be big. So as we go around the room real quick, tell us where to find you, or if you have a website, something like that. Let's promote you guys real quick. Charles, what you got for people to connect?
All right. Thank you, John, for having us today on your platform. We appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Chip, for getting me started on this journey, for getting us started on this journey. You can reach me at Charles Woods WW on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, that one phrase, Charles Woods WW.
Okay. And we'll put all this in the show notes too. Bruce, what about you?
Bruce Villarreal on Facebook. I like to say that, hey, where Chip's at, I'm connected to Chip. You can find me there, Bruce Villarreal. And I'm at Mr. BV, the original, at Instagram as well. So again, I'm linked to, I would say, Charles and everybody else, and Jose, you guys can find me. We're linked to each other, and that's how connect. And thank you everybody for your comments today. Thank you, John, for the show.
Of course, awesome. Of course. Lindsay, where do we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Find me on Twitter at Serving Kids, just all one word together. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. It's just my first and last name, or first maiden name and then last name, Lindsay O'Neill Almquist, as well as on Instagram, predominantly on Twitter at Serving Kids. And John, thank you. God bless. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Good to meet you. Jose, we got a lot going on, man. Tell us where we can look you up and follow your stuff.
I like what Bruce said. Actually, if you just look at Chip Baker, you'll find me there. I'm sure I'm the only Jose Escobar that he's friends with, hopefully. But anyway, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are the only places I hang out. I'm like 90% usually on Facebook. And my handle is the @ JAESCO25. So JASCO25. You can find me on any of those 3 platforms. You can also check out my websites, the Entrepreneurs with an S, the entrepreneursbookshelf.com, or winningthedaybook.com. Thank you so much for the opportunity, John, to be on your show, and Chip as well for the opportunity to be in the book, and all of you for all that you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an honor to meet you guys. You guys and gals, sorry, you guys, I just throw that out there, but it's been an honor to be a part of this. Thank you to Chip for reaching out. And audience, look, there's a book to be had, and there's stories to get into, and it's The Impact of Influence, all of the volumes, but specifically volume 5. If you want to peel back the curtain a little bit and get to know these folks a little better, that's where you go. Chip, when is that, or is it now available? I assume it is available right now.
No, so we're launching December 4th, December 3rd.
Oh, it's right here.
Is our book launch. And so, and like we've said in some interviews, volume 5 is live.
There we go.
So I ask that you go, follow all of the authors, check out their sites. Please take time to go check them out. I promise you will not be disappointed. As you can see, based off of the interview of what you heard or saw today, you won't be disappointed in checking them out and their movements. And my social media is at Chip Baker, TSC, as in The Success Chronicles. All of it is that, except for Twitter, and Twitter is Chip Baker 19. And John, thanks so much again for having us. Truly appreciate you. Truly appreciate the authors and everyone that has supported us. No significant success is achieved alone, and we all know that, right? And so we're truly grateful for it. So again, thank you so much, John.
Yep, thank you. And audience, makes a perfect Christmas gift. Check that off the list real quick, and you'll have everybody taken care of. Get about 5 or 6 copies and pass them out at Christmas time. So with that, they have all been the authors of Impact of Influence Volume 5. We have been last in line. Be blessed.
Make your escape.